Hey folks, welcome to VerifiedInvesting.com. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. In this video today, we're going to take a close look at the moving averages on the SMH, the semiconductors, because this one moving average is telling me we are on the verge of a potential 40% drop in the semiconductor index. That would include NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD, and all of these others, including Micron. So again, this is one indicator, but it's a very accurate indicator. It's known as the moving average. We're going to look at the weekly 200 moving average. Now, moving averages work like essentially a yo-yo. You can push the yo-yo or throw the yo-yo down. It gets as far as it can, and then it comes back to home base. All right. Think about sending a child off to the university or to school at the end of the day or at the end of the semester or at the end of the year. They come back to you. They come back home. Very similar. That's what moving averages are. Once we know what moving averages are, we can say, okay, in general, how far can something get before it's pulled back? Like, what's the maximum? And on the SMH, we are now hitting levels in terms of the 200 moving average on the weekly that we saw the last time just before we pulled back 40% in 2020. I believe it was 2021 we topped out. And then also that was the bear market, by the way, of 2022. And then just before the liberation sell-off as well. So let's dive into the charts, guys. As always, I keep it to no BS, just charts. Again, take this for what it's worth. This is the SMH weekly chart. And if we look at this chart, again, you can see we've had this bull run starting basically from COVID all the way up. Then here we had the pullback, the bear market of 2022, and the latest move up before the liberation sell-off, and then obviously the big one that we are currently experiencing. And vertical-wise, this is the most dramatic, right? I mean, this latest move has just been astronomical. But let's look at the 200 moving average. So here we have the 200 moving average, and what we're going to do here is we're going to measure the furthest, how far percentage-wise did the SMH get away from the moving average, right? From the 200 weekly moving average. So what's the furthest distance? And basically the highest point here to here, that's your furthest distance there. If we take a look here, this would be your furthest distance from this moving average. It's same moving average. It's just that's the distance there. And the question is, what we're going to look at is how far are we percentage-wise from the 200 now to where price topped out just this past week? Is it telling us something, right? And that's really what we want to find out. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to measure. So we're going to do a trend line, or essentially the measurement tool from this moving average all the way up to the high here. And again, this is the highest point, right? If we bring it back here, notice how against the line, against the 200, there's no other point along this where essentially it was further away than from the 200 moving average. So right here, it was 102. I repeat, 102% above its weekly 200 moving average. Now, we're going to take this a step further. We're going to say, okay, so what about just before this massive correction with the liberation tariff sell-off? This is obviously the furthest distance, right? So let's take this and do a measurement, and we go all the way up, and lo and behold, it's 102% as well. Okay. You guys seeing this? So 102% before its correction. And let's go back and measure the size of the correction, right? In from the bull market high of 2021, the semis dropped 47%. Here, the semis dropped 40%. So, I mean, we're starting to see a pattern development where when you get up 100+% away from your 200 weekly moving average, the correction seems to be in the 40% range. Now, can anyone guess how far away we are from the 200 moving average on the weekly chart currently? Do we think it's more? Do we think it's less than 102%? Or is it equal? Let's find out. Let's take that line right there, put it in, bring it up, and look at that, guys. 102%. You can't make this stuff up, folks. This is the freaky stuff that makes me do analysis on the weekends because I absolutely love it. Some of you guys have said to me, why don't you just take the weekend off? Well, I do. I mean, I'm not actively trading on weekends, but I can't help it. Some people play video games. This is my video game. This is my Rubik's Cube. This is my figure out the formula because not only is it exciting to me, but it actually helps me make money. And I hope it helps you guys make some money overall from this analysis. So just to rehash, in 2021, the bull market, the distance that the SMH, the semiconductors that includes NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD, Micron, all of these semiconductors that make up so much market cap in the market today, it was 102% above its weekly 200 moving average. In 2024, the furthest it got away before we had, again, the eventual big sell-off, 102%. And it dropped again 40+%. So 40%, 40%. And lo and behold, what are we seeing right here? Okay. This is a move up of 102% distance. Now, remember what I described. The moving average, this is your home. Okay. When you get too far away from home, think about Napoleon. How did Napoleon, essentially what happened to him when he led his army into Russia and far away from his supply lines? He couldn't survive, right? He lost because he got too far away from his supply, his home base. The markets are exceedingly similar. They can only get so far away before they're pulled back or they're forced back to their home base to essentially digest or refuel. So essentially, if we look at this, we see this pullback after we were up 102% to where? Home base. Here we were 102% away again from the weekly 200. What happened? We came back and came back to home base. Now, if we play that same game, what do we think the pullback to this level would be? Let's do the measurement. If we take the high here all the way down, this would be a whopping 50%. But notice this one was about 40 and change percent, 40%. So it's right in that same venue. Now, listen, in all fairness, if we look at this, it doesn't tell us it's going to be a vertical move straight down. Here it was a pretty consistent grind lower. Here it was down, then up, and then down, right? But the point being is that we are likely, and I repeat, we are likely at a turning point in the semis based off the weekly 200 moving average. It's reached its zenith. It's farthest away from its home base that it can go. And this tells me that it's going to begin to pull back with the potential to pull back as much as 40+%. All right. Inevitably, the SMH should pull back and meet the 200 weekly at some point in the next, really, we look at it in the next year. So again, for me, how do I trade this? Well, I'm short semis. How do you not be at least some exposure? If I had long semis anymore, I'd be dumping them. That's just me. I can only speak for myself, but I wanted to pass this information along to you. I find it fascinating. I hope you find it the same. Remember, if you think this video is interesting, if you found it exceedingly intriguing, please just share it with friends and family if you think they would enjoy it as well. You guys have a great one. Talk to you soon. Take care.